That's the moment that we all fell in love with Japanese tuner culture, and we realized their full potential. The beauty was forced induction that allowed for insane horsepower out of these small engines. So in this video, we celebrate tuner cars with 5 incredible JDM rockets, plus an honorable mention that will destroy supercars. Don't blink because they are that fast. Let's go. The R33 is unmistakably GTR, and it's easily the most overlooked one in the series of Skylines. See, the R32 was a raw, track-focused monster, while the R34 GTR, it was the handsome, movie star offering that had both bite and bark. And the R33, the middle child, it's somewhere in, well, the middle of both. But that's okay, because it was the first production car to lap the Nürburgring in under 8 minutes. And I think it looks great. Yeah, it's a little sleeker and a little longer than its older brother, but it still screams GTR. Plus, it's got that fire-breathing twin-turbo RB26 DETT that pushes out 276 horses from the factory. But that was just a big fat lie. See, due to the gentleman's agreement between Japanese automakers, no car could be advertised as having over 276 horses. And that's a story for another day, because the R33's inline 6 was pushing out 330 horses from the factory. And if you were any good at wrenching, you could double that figure and fry any supercar around, which this unloved JDM icon, when modded, loves to eat supercars for lunch. Evo 8 started crossing the Pacific Ocean from Japan to the States in 2003. And that was our first taste of how fun this little pocket rocket really could be. I know that they say that cats have 9 lives, but I think this dog gained an extra one that day. No, now the Evo and STI had been duking it out on the rally circuit for over a decade before it was brought over to the States. And when the Evo set tires onto the American soil for the first time, this 4-door son of a rally car was essentially a wolf in sheep's clothing. And why, do you ask? Because this little turbocharged 2-liter inline-4 power plant pushed out 271 horses stock. And yes, even stock, with its all-wheel drive system, it delivers exotic sports car performance at a bargain price. But trust me, you're gonna get hit by the modding bug. And 600 horsepower is doable on a stock bottom end. And 600 horses is insane and insanely fun. Yes, it's gonna take some upgraded turbos, which means you have to upgrade the intake and the exhaust, and probably the fuel and the ignition, which means you probably also have to upgrade the clutch. But boy, oh boy, you will be able to destroy supercars in your little Japanese pocket rocket. So it's definitely worth it. Now, you probably all know that the Mitsubishi Evolution was discontinued about 5 years ago, and it was featured in this ideal video describing 5 cars that were discontinued that we want back. So if you want to watch a tearjerker, check that vid out. Let's not start a war, but are you an Evo or Subi kind of guy? Because the Subaru STI just entered the chat. This 4-door rally car for the road was introduced a year after the Evo to the USA in 2004. And like the Evo, it was also a younger sibling of a long line of rally racing heritage. Now, I gotta hand it to Subaru, because they really did a good job branding the World Rally Blue color, which I gotta ask, who else thinks that this looks extremely weird? Yeah, back in 2004, the turbocharged 2.5-liter flat 4 was cranking out 300 horses. And this everyday rally racer, with similar mods that I mentioned for the Evo, will have similar results. Neck-breaking horsepower made it to a confidence-inspiring chassis, ready to chase down the competition. Plus, you can mod these things to not only go fast, but to look the part too, as they take aesthetic mods extremely well. The Subaru STI is one of the few cars you should really consider bringing home and meeting the parents. Just saying. There's something to be said about being a little bit different, and the FD RX-7 is the definition of unique. Not only is the 3rd generation RX-7 one of the most beautifully designed cars ever, but it's got a little secret under the hood. Yeah, see, it's this thing called a rotary engine, which drastically reduces the number of parts required for combustion, which on paper sounds great because there's less parts to break. And you could rev these things to the moon. Now, unfortunately, these things had poor fuel economy, rapidly degrading apex seals, and were utterly unreliable. But when they were working properly, these things were absolutely a riot. Now, the FD RX-7 came with the first mass-produced sequential twin-turbocharged engine exported from Japan. Yes, this twin-turbo 1.3-liter rotary, putting out a healthy 276 horsepower. Now, if you want reliable horsepower to slay supercars, easy. You throw a V8 into your FD, and you have a reliable 400-horse sports car. But if you're like me, and you like to live your life on the edge of reliability, and you want to just crank up the boost, it'll make all your wildest fantasies come true. And for those 7 seconds or less, you'll be free. Oh, and now it's time for the honorable mention. Now, I'm not going to talk about the drifting potential of this car, because the internet will gladly verify this thing loves to spend its time sideways. Instead, I'm going to talk about straight line speed, which the engine that came in these S14s was pretty weak. It was this 2.4-liter inline-4 pumping out a dismal 155 horsepower. But there is good news. The stock internals were really solid and they can handle boost. So just slap a turbo on there and more than double the horsepower. Yep, this motor loves forced induction and can handle big numbers. And we all know what that means. Tons of tire shredding fun, baby. Guys, prices for these things have officially gotten out of hand, and a dealer just advertised a 98 Mark IV Supra for $500,000. And I can kinda sorta see, well, okay, no, straight up, that is ridiculous. Even though this Supra is one of the most badass and influential sports cars to ever be produced, and one of the main reasons is the ridiculous power plant. Yes, the 2JZ GTE inline-6 with sequential turbochargers pushing out 320 horses stock. But surprise, surprise, no one keeps these stock because they can handle massive power. Enough to slaughter any super-de-duper car in sight. And as far as aesthetics go, is this stock rear spoiler the best looking spoiler to ever come on a car? Let us know down in the comments. Because although the Mark IV Supra is the holy grail of Japanese tuner cars that will destroy supercars, I just don't think they're worth $500,000. So go check out this vid and give me your thoughts. Or check out what YouTube recommends you watch next. Oh, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. But either way, you can't lose. And as always, keep living